Good morning guys, welcome to my office. In this video I'm going to talk about the basics, which is basically what is a tier 2 sponsor, how do you find them, what's going on with the sponsorship list and what's the best way to do it and the way that we do it with our clients. We get asked this question a lot. I feel like most students don't really understand what all these different words mean. So I'm going to explain this, break everything down. The first part of the video is going to be a slideshow because I want to define the principles, define the basics so you understand them. And then the second part of the video is going to be a screen share where I'm going to go through and tell you how I would find tier 2 sponsors and an effective method to do that. Enjoy. All right, let's get the show on the road. Let me amaze you with my PowerPoint skills. So finding a tier 2 sponsor, what we're really going to do is I'm just going to define some terms and make it really simple. I think people always complicate things. So what is a tier 2? It's just a thing that allows you to come and stay in the UK to do an eligible job with an approved employer. So you can't just buy a tier 2. Know what there are a set amount of people who can give you a tier 2. They have to be approved. The job has to be eligible. And it's now called a skilled worker visa. So what is a tier 2 sponsor? That this is an employer who is, one, approved by the Home Office. They have a sponsorship license. So you can look them up. And if they say, oh, we can sponsor you, say, okay, so you must be on some kind of record, right? And also they can give you a certificate of sponsorship, which is something that they give to you so that you can apply for a visa. And the easiest way to think about a certificate of sponsorship or a cost is a ticket. You know, when you go to a waiting room and you have to wait to see a doctor or probably do something super boring like get your driving license updated, they'll give you a ticket. This is the same thing. It's a ticket to then apply for a skilled worker visa. So, why do some tier 2 sponsors not hire international students? I hear this a lot, as if all the sponsors get together in a hotel and say, oh, those international students, we're deliberately not going to hire them. Of course not. That's not the case at all. And it's generally one of 3 reasons. Number 1, they have run out certificates of sponsorship. No more tickets. Sorry, doctor's closed, come back tomorrow. They may be saving their costs, their tickets, for different roles or levels of experience. So sometimes a company might say, oh, we really need people in the engineering team or really need people in the marketing team. So if someone comes along and they need a COS, they're going to get priority. But of course, it's based on the demands of the company. It's got nothing to do with the students. They have filled all roles with candidates who do not need a COS. So what that means is, from an employer's point of view, it costs them money, right? So they have to sponsor you, give you visa, immigration health surcharge, all that. It costs money, guys. So if they can go with another candidate who doesn't cost money, they're going to do that. It's much like you saying, so I could do that for free, or I could pay you £10. It's the same, right? It's similar. You're like, yeah. I'd be like, well, I'm going to do it for free. Surely, right? I'm not going to give you money if it's kind of the same. So no one's being racist. Not to our knowledge, anyway. And the way to think about it, if you apply to a company and they're on the license, which we're going to talk about shortly, and then they're like, no, we cannot sponsor you. And you're like, why are you so racist? Why do you hate me? It's like, no, dude, the shelves are empty. The shop is open, but the shelves are empty. No more tickets for you. Or what you want isn't there, right? So just a simple way to think about it is just like, oh, okay, I went into that shop, but the shelves are empty. So what do? Go to another shop, particularly if you need toilet roll. Very important. So from that, we now know what a tier 2 is, basically, and what a tier 2 sponsor is, basically, right? So where do we find these people, as in the official way? Well, we do this as a really cheery and handy thing, which is called the Home Office Register of Sponsors. The links are going to be in the description below. And it looks a little something like this. It gets updated every day. And it's this enormous 2,376 PDF of doom is what I basically call it. And you look at the list of sponsors, you open it up and it looks like this. Isn't this sexy? And you'll see there that it will say this is a list of organisations licensed to sponsor worker on the worker, formerly tier 2, and temporary worker, formerly tier 5. Which brings me to my next point, because generally people go like, oh, can I get a tier 5 visa instead? Maybe that's like an easier thing to do. So I can't get a tier 2, can I get a tier 5? So what's the difference? So a tier 5 is for somebody who wants to come to the UK for a short time, for work experience, or to do training, an overseas government language program, research, or fellowship for an approved government authorised exchange scheme. What does that mean? It means it's short term, dude. Right? So what's your end goal? If your end goal is like, oh, I just want a year's work experience. I just want a little bit of work experience. I'm going to go home. Cool. Tier 5 could well be for you. But if you want more than that, like another year's work, or you're thinking about staying and living in the UK, it's a different story. And the good way to think about it is, you know, tier 5 is short term, temporary, short term. Tier 2, skilled, long term. This is for people who are like, oh, I want to stay for a couple of years. You never know. I might want to settle down. I might want to buy a house and have some kids and all that kind of jazz. So now we kind of know about what's a tier 2, what's a tier 2 sponsor, what's a tier 5, what's this giant list of doom. How many tier 2 sponsors are there? Well, you will have seen on the list before, it was in red numbers, there are about 33,000 tier 2 and tier 5 sponsors on the list. So again, there are 33,000 longer term and short term or temporary tier 5 sponsors on the list. But actually, there's only about 25,000 tier 2 sponsors. We calculated this a couple of months ago, actually, when we sort of sifted through. And I will show you an easier way that you can go through this list, find these sponsors. So now you kind of understand, you're like, cool. Now I need to find these sponsors immediately, which we're going to deal with in the next screen. All right. So we're going to look at basically, first of all, the bad, and then a much better way of finding tier 2 sponsors and jobs. So I know what a lot of students do is they basically just go to LinkedIn and they'll go tier 2 jobs LinkedIn. Sorry, Google. So they'll be like, oh, cool, 3,000 plus tier 2 jobs. Holy cow. And then they'll look at it and you'll just be faced with a wall of jobs. And the kind of the tricky thing is about tier 2 jobs is some of these are like tier 1 and 2, tier 2, and you'll just, there'll be all these, the thing is, in this case, choice is bad, because you're just going like, what, do I just apply for all of them? Do I apply for none of them? And also they might say it's a tier 2 job and it might not actually be related to sponsorship. It might be related to some kind of level or proficiency or ability. And it's just super confusing. And the same if you do it with Indeed. So even though it's like, oh, cool, 3,162, choice isn't always a good thing, because then you can engage in what I call the quality over quantity game, which is I'm going to do one click easy apply on LinkedIn. I'm going to do the same with Indeed. And actually what's going to end up happening is, you know, like if I look through here, like NHS Improvement Advisor, the only job here that's probably actually got any chance is this one from BNP Paribas. And I only know that because I have the knowledge. If I was a brand new student and I had no knowledge, I'm like local service manager tier 2. Oh, £37,000 a year. And what ends up happening is you just waste a ton of time. Again here, page 1 of 4,181 jobs. So theoretically, we've got like 7,000 jobs we could apply to. That to me is not good maths. because I haven't got the time to apply for 7,000 jobs, and it's just too much for me to take in. So what about just having a look at the sponsorship list? So here we have our, kind of giant sponsorship list, and we could just do something which I know students do. They'll just go through from A to Z. So there are 33,000 companies on this list, right? Also not a really good or efficient way, particularly if you're struggling with time and to find, even an hour a week in between everything else that you're doing with your studies and so on. So let me tell you about a much easier and more effective way to do this. Now, I talk about this in the Zero to Job ebook. The link of that is in the description. It's the top link. And what I talk to you about is like plan effectively. So first of all, what I would do is I would write down the names of all the companies I want to work for, right? So I'm being directed in my outcome, and I actually recommend you do 50 companies, which sounds bananas. But the reason why I do that is because you really have to think. If I say to somebody, oh, list 10 companies, they're like, yeah, I want to work for blah, 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 blah. If for a marketing student might say, oh, I want to work for Apple and WPP and BBC and da, 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 da. But if I say think of 20, 30, 50 companies, so this is something that's going to take an afternoon, but it's so worthwhile because you can deceive yourself by sitting on LinkedIn and applying for 100 jobs a day. You're probably not going to hear from anybody, right? And I'll tell you that straight off the bat because there are so many people. Remember, if it's easy for you, it's easy for everybody else. So this one has already had 74 applicants. I don't even know what this is, right? So with here, so the first thing you would do is you would list down all of the companies. So you'd sit there and really think about it, do your research, go and look on Google, that sort of thing. I suppose I could make a video about that at some point. So this is first. The second thing I would do is say, okay, do they sponsor? So I'm not even thinking about the job. I'm just thinking about whether they sponsor. So for this, I recommend you use sponsortier2.com. So it's our web application, and you can also subscribe for free updates every Wednesday and Friday. The link is in the description. Sponsortier2.com, and it's really simple. So on my list, and this is something to be aware of actually. So I might search PwC, and I go here. So this is me trying to do it with my enormous list. So I search PwC, no one comes up, right? So then I'll think, oh, actually it's an abbreviation, it's a shortened, so I need to search price. I'm like, oh, okay, there's 10, 4, 5, I know there's like, 20 different, and I can then kind of try and scroll through and go through every single price. Or just simply, I just use sponsortier2.com, write in price, search, does it all for me. Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know who these guys are. Go to second page. Here we are, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Fantastic. So I can see the location, the tier, the industry, and also I can click here and then just go straight to their website, which is really handy as well. So I can go through, I can say, okay, cool. So, yeah, so this isn't PwC, it's actually PricewaterhouseCoopers. So now that I know that, and for some reason I can't, it won't let me. So let's just get rid of that altogether. So PricewaterhouseCoopers. Do they sponsor? Yes. Oh, excellent. Well then, this definitely means that I can, so from that I can say, are they sponsor? Then I can go and look at the jobs that they like. So I can say, oh, okay, I want to apply for, where can I apply? So I might look around and then I might say it's like PwC graduate jobs. Graduate jobs. Da, 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 da. What I suggest you do is, for the sake of efficiency, you should do them column by column. Yeah? Because what's going to happen is you're going to make a list, and we can do this again. So I'm going to search for Deloitte. So do Deloitte sponsor. Yes. Excellent. So I'm going to say yes. So what about this company? I really want to work for this company called PJF. Do they sponsor? No. Okay, cool. So I already know like PJF and I might mark it through. I like colours because it's just easier for me. So I might say, "Whoa, red, bad." They don't sponsor, and I can go for and do this for the rest of the companies. So once I know who sponsors, then I can go, and that might be an afternoon's work, just getting all those companies. But then from those 50 companies, I might have 30 who sponsor. Then I start looking up for jobs I like and getting a link. Then I find the deadlines so I can order who I'm going to apply to. Then I say if I've applied, whether I've reached the next stage and what the result is. This is a much more systematic approach. The reason why I like this is because it's not random. This is random because I'm being presented by, I mean, sure, I can filter down and I can get, you know, maybe a better granularity of data, but here I'm being guided by what I want. Now you might say, what are some other websites that are super helpful? What if I just want to look for jobs? I'm not really that bothered, or I don't know the company that much. Well, I recommend two of them. One of them is called Student Circus. They're fabulous. They've been around since 2015. I've recommended them before. They were started by two international students. So this is really good. So you can just go here. Again, the link is in the description and you can see the most recent roles. So they've got everything here. So they've got for Bloomberg, McDonald's. These are different industries and you can go and sort of research them yourselves. The only thing that happens is if you're not a student or you're not part of a university which has this, then you might just kind of go, oh, cool, 2021 data analyst Bloomberg. You know, fine. I'm just going to go and Google that myself. So I might go Bloomberg 2021 data analyst. Sweet. Here's the job. And if possible, I always say go to the source. Don't go to an aggregator because aggregators like even target jobs, they'll say, oh, you need to register and then you can go here. And by the time you've done that 10 times, you're just really, so, you know, just go straight to the source. So here we've got it, you know, we're here at Bloomberg and we can apply now straight away. And another website, which is relatively new, it's called UK Hired. I'm big fans of them as well. And I've interviewed their founder, Anastasia, on this podcast. She's also, sorry, not this podcast, on this channel. And she's also an international student. And this one is brilliant because it gives a sort of better level of granularity. So you might say finance analyst, and I want to look in London. All right, find perfect job. And it might say, oh, damn. So there's no, so what about just bigger role? So there's one over at Capita, right? And so on and so forth. And I'm like, oh, do you know what, just do business and finance and I won't. So you might need to widen the search a little bit. And then you've got some more jobs which pop up here. You know, it's really nice. It's really usable and it gives you some additional resources. So that's it really. That's how to find tier 2 sponsors and tier 2 jobs and also to be effective in what you're doing. I hope this was helpful for you. If you'd like me to make some other videos around this, I'm going to make some more basics videos. Do let me know. Drop a comment in the description in the section below and speak to you soon. Bye.